4 members of Old Salt playing a hopefully nice concert tonight.
Oh God, I hope so.
For Roots Time in our living room setup for about 40 people roughly. So it's going to be intimate.
Nice.
And hopefully also very nice. And maybe I saw from some videos of you that you also invite us to sing along from time to time. So
During more in the center of the pandemic, it was more. Now
you're taking the
that was
risk.
due to the masks.
Now that we're coming out, maybe it's more.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get the yodeling going again.
Yeah.
Not no spoilers.
Well, I said to Dan that my first question was how a guy from Big Apple, New York, ends up in the small pier city of Ghent, but he's not living in Ghent. He told me, so that there goes my first question.
And my down in New York is about a few hundred people. So.
Okay, also away from New York City.
I'm up in the Hudson Valley. Yeah, exactly.
But I saw that you were there as working as a carpenter, and that you were doing mainly busking on the streets of New York City then, or?
I did in New York City a couple of times, but mainly I was studying in New York, in the U.S. and working in between full time as well, and then on my breaks between studies, I would go out to Europe and then busk on the streets in Europe to help kind of push me along financially from place to place.
So when did you decide to move to Europe?
Well, due to me having to busking all the time in Europe and not much in the States, and then also making connections musically in Europe, I didn't actually have many musical connections in the U.S. Scene.
Yeah.
So then I said, okay, well then you gotta move to Europe, and then of course you meet the German lady, and you end up moving to Germany, and then and then that's where that happens, and then you're next thing you know, you're 6 years in Europe.
Yeah. But you also met Johannes and Lotte in a concert in
Lotte first in 2012 in Slovenia, and then she shipped him off.
Okay.
Fresh boyfriend at
She
the
told me,
time.
you have to go there. It's so nice there. So I went the year after. And and then we got to know each other.
We hung out tight, and then that was actually my for like as like a solo act. That's what these are for. Because ended up I was supposed to be on stage for my show, and then ended up like I don't know how many people were on stage in the end, like 7 or something like this.
And that was the first Old Salty.
That was Dan's first like performance ever.
But both of them were already playing together in Belgium.
The two of us, we played in another band together, and we already lived together.
Also folk bluegrass?
No, we didn't live together, but we were a
these
couple
details don't
for
matter.
Okay, so it's good to make the distinction.
And then Toby I also met in 2012.
Really?
2013 actually, or was it 2012?
It was 2012 is when I first met you.
Yeah, but it was very brief.
It was brief. Yeah. We there was like one random little stage and you got a t-shirt, and then there was.
And I was in love with the I was in love with the banjo at the time, and so I heard all of a sudden I heard sort of far off a banjo playing. I was like, ooh! So I went and saw, and then we got along sort of.
You don't hear it often,
quite quickly.
Quite quickly.
Quite quickly.
That worked.
And when was Old Salt born then?
I guess that was for the first album we recorded in Sweden in 2015. And it wasn't like the idea was this, but it ended up being that whoever could kind of fit into the VW transporter was in the band. Up to Sweden for a concert, and then a couple shows, and then we ended up recording within the summer in 2015.
Because
so that
even
was
the week before the recording, there were other members in the Erik.
It was still called
Old Salt Collective.
No. Dan Wall and the Waffles.
That's right.
The waffles.
Waffles.
Okay.
Yes.
Belgian waffles then.
Of course. Majority Belgian waffles.
Yeah.
And then we had a Swedish guy, Anton Teljebek, viola player, and Dave Barfoot on the bodhrán and some percussion.
And where does the name come from? How did you come to the name?
It was kind of like before this band, it was sort of like turning into like my artist name. But as this was like the main thing happening, it's turned into Old Salt. It's Old Salt in English means old sailor storyteller. And my I broke a line of 5 generations of ship captains to be a musician, so I figured I would tip my hat to the sailors by calling us Old Salt.
Was it also always from the beginning the intention that you would bring very old folk and bluegrass songs? Or because you also mix it with some of your own tunes that you write.
Yeah, and also Johannes is also writing a couple tunes in there as well, and old songs. I mean, that's just always what I did, and then what we did, and we'd also like to glue things together a little bit. We'll take like a couple, like a fiddle tune, and put it to something with like a traditional song, or we'll write lyrics to a traditional tune, or vice versa.
It's more natural that would be the type of music that you would be playing together in. With the band then,
I think I sort of came out of more the music that I saw in New Orleans. I went down there a bunch of times to work post Katrina on rebuilding projects, and then that's when I first sort of saw this style music, like New Orleans street music, which is pretty broad actually, from like Appalachian, like old time music to
Cajun.
brass and Cajun, and So then I saw banjos being used in a different way than I was used to, like other than the Pete Seeger kind of style. It was more, more grit.
But are you interested in this very old music then, or do you select these songs to record yourself based on the original tune from 100 years ago, or do you take it from covers that were made later by other artists?
Both. I think it's we're pretty liberal. We're pretty shameless with how we mess up some old songs, huh? I mean, like there's a couple.
Well, we all sort of live and gravitate in a world full of folk music.
That's a good way to put it.
Folk music is such a misnomer. I mean, from one perspective, it's such a misnomer because folk music is the very old tunes, but it's also
A movement.
the new tunes. There's a lot of people still writing folk music nowadays,
Yeah.
so it all gets mixed up.
Yeah, I mean, folk music is it's pretty gray area, huh? I mean,
Exactly.
in the Americana world, I mean, bluegrass is basically just as old as rock and roll, but you don't call rock and roll folk music, or is it now? Who knows?
Yeah.
Bluegrass was roughly the basis of rock and roll.
Old time and then bluegrass, like it's like I mean, really.
But when you select an old song, are these suggestions coming from each one of you, or is it mainly you then who's coming with these ideas? Or
Some tunes here that are attached to some of our songs are actual, like one of the songs we have that's attached to an old Americana song called Boll Weevil is a tune written by Anton Toby, and it's a polska, Swedish style song that he wrote. I mean,
For example, like with Boll Weevil, I got to know the version of the Punch Brothers.
Yeah.
Then you go back, look you hear other versions, and then you notice that's like a song
Because
from
you
way
brought-
before.
Yeah, you brought that song to the table,
then-
so we kind of all play a role in bringing the
But most of
repertoire
our songs-
together.
A lot of those old songs actually we discovered through modern bands
Yes.
who are already doing covers, and then we go and look at the other versions.
yeah, that's what I was surprised of, because when I started preparing for the review on your Commons album,
Yeah.
I see that some of these songs are 100 years or more old, and I say, how did these guys find that music? Because it was completely unknown to me. I never heard of it.
I mean, for where I'm from in the Hudson Valley, that's where you have a lot of these proclaimed. So like grandfather of and great grandfather of the American folk music revival in the 60s and 50s is Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, and these guys. And it's all in this area. I grew up going to these folk festivals. My dad played Pete Seeger stuff all the time. Arlo Guthrie, some of the guys that were at the Woodstock Folk Festival, and this sort of era is very rich in the area where we come from. So a lot of people reference that. A lot of the craftsman community where I am also, a lot of them play music on the side, and so you have a lot of jams and people playing traditional music is quite common where I'm from too. So a lot of these tunes, like Wayfaring Stranger, been playing for ages, Hobo's Lullaby, these songs that we're playing for since the beginning, they're the songs that I grew up.
The real traditionals.
Yeah.
Which you can get in 100 different versions.
Exactly. yeah, totally.
Your Commons album was, in fact, your first real professional recorded album, I think. The first one was independently recorded in Sweden, I understood.
Yeah, it was a full-on recording studio.
It was just more in the moments, like non-prepared by us.
Yeah, exactly. We mentioned whoever could fit into the VW transporter on the way up. That's how rehearsed as a band we were, basically.
But it was your intention to support it with a lot of international shows, and then COVID came, I guess, was the reason why you had to stop this international touring and promoting of the CD?
The timing couldn't have been worse, I think, for us. I mean, really, like we had just put out this album in the summer of 2019, and we were between bookers, and we were and just getting our stuff together to have a nice release tour in 2020, and of course we know what happened. We'd also done a few showcase events and messe, I don't know even know the English word, so fairs and stuff like this, and it was looking pretty safe, but yeah, you can't release a 2019 album that you already released again in 2022. You know, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, we had to keep.
But it was broadly orchestrated, and now you're the last EP, 5 songs recorded in room 13. Very intimate recording, in fact. So was that on purpose, or is that how you want to proceed in the future also, to be more on the intimate side for playing music?
We haven't
and recording.
I mean, I think we're open to different ideas for recording now. I think we're down to experiment. I think I think this one was more. We wanted something a live feel. We wanted something to push us through the last couple of years. We wanted. I mean, for me, the selection of the songs, where they were each individual song had its own sort of relationship to hope and loss and all these these themes that were pretty consistent with the last 2 years at that point. And they were all old tunes, and so the idea was to sort of. I found a lot of. How would you say catharsis in these tunes, huh? Like they helped me through hard times, and so I felt like these were also. It's a good time to bring these back. And I think the intimacy and the way we played it and the emotion behind it, and also the more live feel and how we recorded it holds a bit of that, huh? Yeah.
But it is true that it's with less musicians.
Yeah.
So now we're mostly performing as a quartet, actually, because it's just. Yeah.
You can't afford it.
We can't
It's
afford
very
to play with
expensive.
7 people from all over Europe anymore, unless would be like a very big festival that can pay for all the traffic, all the travel and
But I'm seeing right now on a lot of CDs that I'm reviewing that the artists are or the individual instrumentalists are recording on their own in their home studios and sending it over internet to someone who puts everything together and produces a record from it.
It's also a lot easier to be a duo, a trio, a solo artist right now, because you're not lighter and faster on your feet. You're not as much risk to venues, and in this time, it's like you know, it's more likely to. Yeah, you fit in one car. It's like a normal car.
That's one of the criteria to be a member of OLT.
What kind of car we have and who can fit in it.
Is it the intention to proceed in this way in the future, that you keep combining old traditional tunes with newly written music from both of you then?
Yeah, totally. I think that'll never go away, especially with the New Orleans it's songs that they'll always sneak their way in, and old time tunes, and also some stuff. Maybe we bring some more Eastern.
The plan was also to write a bit more ourselves again. Like
exactly.
The next few months.
I think we're all into the idea of half, right? But it's like half original, half like traditional songs is the goal usually. Yeah.
But you're now doing a kind of European tour for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You said 3 became 2.
Yeah.
Because of the cancellation of the Dutch
became
ones.
one long weekend.
All our foreign concerts are cancelled now.
But how did you overcome this 2 years no concerts period?
Well, for me, woodworking was definitely a good thing to have under my belt. These guys are a teacher and doctor and full-time musician. How was that? But you were
professional color of mommy.
But as our eligible bachelor in the band, you were also pretty light and fast on your feet. You can move. You were in Turkey.
I was doing all the things that musicians never get the time to do, which is like meet new people, get new experiences, practice.
Yeah, that's the thing.
A lot of creation.
Do you also do session music for other artists, or?
I'd like to do more actually.
Yeah, but you can do it.
I'd like to do more.
And you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the idea. Yeah.
But Johannes and Lotte, you have both the day job.
Well,
we-
not full time,
We
but
work half time. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 5 bands.
But also teaching is not easy these days. I understand from what I see in television.
yeah.
What are the plans for the future? Now you have this EP. Are there any plans already for a next CD or another EP or?
As soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this now is it's writing time. We have the next 2 residencies that we have. We're going to be writing music and.
Do you do that together or individually?
We do it together, yeah.
Well,
So usually the lyrics is Johannes and I, basic arrangements, and then for tunes and for further arranging, it's Lotte and Toby and Tomas or whoever else wants to be involved in the processes. Yeah. But yeah, I mean beyond that, it's putting the pieces of the puzzle back together, of course, like seeing where the market's at, where we're gonna be touring, where we're gonna be playing next, and we'll keep putting out content and taking this to the.
Hopefully, after 2 years of creating, because we didn't really have the option to perform. Hopefully now we're going to be doing more performing.
Sort of picking the fruit of all of
and I think everybody. I think a lot of people are starting to get quite tired of online content, and they just want to see live music.
Yeah, totally.
And we're all of us. We've had this discussion many times. Very ready to be performing again.
You are providing their needs.
And we're a live band. We love recording. We love doing that too, and we're experimenting with that. But I mean, we're a live band. Yeah.
Do you also cooperate with other bands in the same music style?
Cooperate.
Sometimes, but like,
I mean,
for example, this EP, we pulled it. We did it together with sessions in the evening.
Live stream sessions
with like guest musicians in the same style. Like maybe you know Niels de Kaster. Probably.
Niels,
We did one with him and
de Smit and
multi-instrumentalist.
Leander van der Reken. He's a younger artist from Ghent.
And Laura Cortese, another one. Yeah, so that was actually really cool. That's a good point. Yeah.
Laura.
We have a series of 8 shorts that we pulled from the whole live stream series that are now on YouTube from our channel.
9
total.
And
Nine
I can see us do more collaborations.
More of this,
Yeah, it's fun.
In the future.
Inviting. Basically, you invite the musician, the guest musician. We learn some of their songs. They learn some of our songs, and then we perform them together fairly spontaneously.
There are thousands of old traditional songs and old folk and bluegrass songs, or more recent folk and bluegrass songs. But how does the process work to select one of them for recording on your own CDs?
I think for me a good couple.
No, but is it because you like that song specifically, or is it because it fits with the instruments that you are playing in the band?
I think there's a few. I mean, for me, there's definitely a few different criteria.
I think the most important is that the singer, the one
can sing
mainly you, that you are into the song, that
Right,
you feel the song.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest criteria.
Yeah, I think the message, the lyrics have to be also not too outdated sometimes, as you run into that as a modern band, a modern folk band, that it's like you want to select folk tunes that aren't barking up the wrong tree, let's say. And then there's also, I think a lot of old tunes can have the impression for me that they can be a bit disingenuous, like a bit too happy or too hot, or not really very in our reality as we experience it today as younger people as well in this genre. So I think between the lyrics, the vibe, the message, and then the sound. I mean, well, you can always take, if you have a couple of those elements, you can always take it and rework it to be something completely different. I mean, we've taken shamelessly old songs and that were in major happy key and flipped them completely to minor and given them some punch and grit. What's that?
Did we ever do the opposite?
We have never done the opposite. Yeah, totally. I think also I'm a bit partial to darker themed songs, it's a bit more.
But there are also a lot of I've seen a lot of or heard a lot of fiddle songs also. A lot of fiddle players of folk and bluegrass music, and that's more your world of living. So I don't know. Is that also a source of inspiration for you then to select a song? Because you do have some fiddle
I think
songs.
mostly the fiddle tunes that we play are not traditional. somehow.
I don't think we play a single traditional fiddle
No.
tune.
They're
No, we kinda
composed
write.
mostly.
Yeah.
So or we make them ourselves, or the friend of us makes them, or yeah, until now.
We play
But-
Foggy Dew at the end of O Death. That's a
Yeah,
traditional
yeah,
Irish tune, for instance. And
Yeah.
the song on our new EP, This Charlie's Dog, is a tune that I originally wrote.
And the Blackest Crow is
Blackest
also
Crow is a traditional, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so there's,
yeah.
it's also a bit mixed up too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I will ask you my last question
Oh boy.
because you have to perform soon. What will we be hearing tonight? What's your setup? Your set list for tonight?
Yeah.
You don't know yet.
Oh no, we know.
Question.
We know. Yeah, this was actually, I was quite proud of myself. I went before we left. I went on the computer and remade the set list and printed out 3 copies.
Okay.
So this is like this
Did
is
we bring
super.
them?
I brought them.
Okay.
Oh my
that-
God.
that
Did you
helps.
believe it? Because it's often the case that we have to see also a lot of it's as a as a banjo and guitarist, we actually have quite a few different tunings that we use. Like you have a DADGAD guitar and then a normal guitar, and then I have to retune my banjo to support 3 different keys. So it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, a set list for us.
Yeah.
Technically, also speaking, yeah.
Retuning the banjo, okay.
Yeah. And then tuning a banjo is one thing. Retuning a banjo. Oh man.
But do you
That's
play
tough.
another set list for a setting like this one with 40 people than for a big concert hall? Or
We'll
whatever?
change it up. It depends completely on the context. Yeah, is it 2 sets? Is it 1 small set? Is it more background? Is it more listening? Is it sing along? All this kind of stuff is all things we take into consideration.
Okay.
So for now, I guess 2 set intimate setting. Still not quite comfortable with the sing along idea yet, but maybe we'll bust a little bit of that out. Again, it's been a little while, huh? It's also since this constellation. This is our first 4 gigs. This is our 3rd concert now, and this tour's first for the last 6 months. So
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're
Still.
you're tuned well, right? Already after 3 concerts. I
3
guess.
concerts does the trick usually.
Yeah.
No pressure, guys. No pressure.
So I propose that we are going to listen to what you have to present us tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the chat.
Yeah,
thank you.
totally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, great
Thank you.
questions. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.